Okay, so here I'm going to be reviewing our Volskaya push. So we're going to do goats again as this particular 2CP, because there isn't so much vertical, lends itself pretty well to a, uh, a goats comp. So same standards, healing suites, Moira Lucio brick. So I'm going to jump ahead to when the fight actually begins. Okay, so before we begin, okay, what our plan is that we discussed right here was that we wanted to be in a pretty defensible position where we could see where the enemy is going. And now when the enemy approaches the point, uh, they have to get to the point in a few different ways, right? So one option is down this lane right here, right? Another option is down this line right up here. And then another option still is going up here to end up here. Now, this is kind of like a wait and see at this point, because what we want to do is basically find their weak point or find which group has the priority target. And so what that'll mean in this scenario is, let's say that the enemy team pushes through. If we're lucky, they're not grouped together, right? In which case we'll go after like perhaps the weaker group or the one that has an easier target, and then sort of just finish off the rest of the team afterwards. So uh, so in this case, what we want to do is just wait and see here. Okay, so I'm reviewing right now our Volskaya game, in which case we are going goats again. Goats lends itself pretty well to Volskaya, in my opinion. And what we decide to do is we set up at the point. This was suggested because the idea here is that we have basically three different lanes that the enemy, I guess four different lanes that the enemy could potentially approach the point with, right? So first of all, you have this lane right here, right? The one that goes down this path here. They have another lane that goes around this shack on the other side. They have another lane that will allow them to diverge through and then go up here. And then they have another one still that can go up here, right? So the reason that I like setting up on the point, especially with a goats comp, is because we can see at a glance where they're going to try and push through and reformulate how we're going to attack them based off of the path that they choose and who's going down which path. So a lot of times I've seen that there's enemy teams who will actually split along both sides of the shack. And if they split, that means we can effectively do a 6v3 against one half of their team and then take out the other afterwards. Um, Additionally, we have a better idea of how we can approach things. If it seems that they're rushing to the point, speed boosting to the point over here, then we could either take them on head on, or we can actually wrap around and speed boost them from the other side, if that is a viable option. If they go up either of these, right? Let's say they go up this one over here, right? This one goes up the stair over the bridge. This is a very narrow choke. And so what we could do is basically walk up the stairs over here and then meet them head on in that narrow tunnel, in which case, considering our comp, it could be advantageous for us. And then if they go up here, then this gets a little tricky. If we try to fight them from down here, I don't think that would lose, as they would hit us on range. So we would be forced to effectively follow them up and hit them from behind. It's not an ideal scenario, and it's probably one that they would have taken. I would say that as soon as we see them going into that chamber over here with the intention of going around, as soon as we see them going into that room, we should cut them off before they even have a chance to go up top, and basically go super aggro into that room so that they have a wall behind them and we effectively crush them against that wall. So I think that this is a pretty good advantageous scenario. We also have the Mega over here in case there isn't enough healing, which would be, pretty surprising. Or if one of our healers gets picked, then we at least have a backup in the form of a Mega. We have a healer, we have a Mini right in the shack as well. But I think overall this is a good choice. Did note that they have a Reaper. Now we rush, and let's take a quick look here at what's happening. All right, so let me back up a little bit. Or not. Let's try that again. Okay. So our Rhine calls out right side. We got to commit to that 100%. He calls out right side. I think it was the right call. Their main tank was over there. The rest of their team looked like they were grouping up and pushing through that direction. All right. So in this case, I think it was a good choice. We have a lot of open space behind us. Like we kind of sort of have this wall right here, potentially that, we could get pushed up against, but not really. I think that we have a lot of open space where we can leak back out into this mini area, into this shack to recover and wait for our cooldowns and stuff. But we commit to this. Now, watch what happens afterwards. Okay. Correct call in that we were aiming for the Reinhardt. This Reinhardt is very, very much in a bad position. He is up against the wall here, right? We should be using this to our advantage. Now, granted, he is getting healed a lot. He's getting a lot of attention paid to him by the healers. And that's okay. As long as we rush him successfully, if we all group up together and freight train him into the wall, if he backs up against this wall, he can only shield so much. We basically close in on him and just destroy him. Unfortunately, we don't quite do that, and I'm also guilty of this as well. I basically stand in the middle and sort of just take pot shots at him rather than sort of help push him against the wall. Right? So he gets pushed up against the wall, but he sneaks out. His mistake was this. He gave us a gift here. He rushed in, and I'm pretty sure their Zarya had their bubble on cooldown. What is unfortunate is that I think he realized that our Rhine was gone. I don't know where our Rhine is, actually, to be completely honest. In fact, let me see if I can find out. So this is another stream. This is from the perspective of our Moira. All right. Okay, so let's see. From the Moira's perspective, things are looking good. I like this. We have a Rhine that's up front. He's got a bubble on him so he can swing freely. And the rest of the team seems to be positioned behind our Rhine. They have a Reaper, Brigida, and Rhine setting up here. And I think they realized that they were about to hit a freight train. Okay. The Moira positioning here is unexpected, I'd say. Moira's in a difficult position because note that our main tank is purple. Our Lucio is purple. This is actually something I didn't realize. This is bad. So in this scenario, what I think would have helped is if either of these people who are purple would call out that they're purple so that I realized it. We see our D.Va is coming up in the back, which is huge because if D.Va has defense matrix, it can soak a lot of that damage while the purple wears off on these two. So I think that D.Va's doing a good job back here. We got a really great kill here. Our Moira was able to take out their Brig, which puts a lot of stops their momentum quite a bit. And we're in the midst of trying to push their Rhine back. Note also back here, a hidden, I think this is a Genji. And that Genji is actually going to become important in a few seconds. Because I think he sees that our Rhine is purple. He probably sees two different targets, so I'm not sure which one he wants to prioritize. But this Genji is going to play a pretty critical role here. So, okay. We're split up here now. The Reaper picks a bizarre target, I think. The Reaper decides to go for our D.Va. I'm not sure why. Our Brig, I think, is taking up the correct spot, taking the mantle of our Rhine here because our Rhine is a little bit incapacitated. Um, Moira is doing the right thing, I think, in terms of everyone's healed up. It's more useful to try and output damage. But what I think might be important is to just look behind, because here that Genji took advantage of that Reinhardt in a mere few seconds, right? Like let's take a look at how quickly that happened. Okay, okay. Look at our Rhine. Our Rhine gets purple. 3, 2, 1. Rhine's gone. And he had nearly full health, but he was purple. And that Genji came in, and I don't think anybody said anything about the Genji. Um, I'd like to think that I keep a good eye on the kill feed. I completely did not know that this happened. So I think this is just another thing of we need more sets of eyes and ears. But our Rhine is down. When our Rhine is down, if we're aware that our Rhine is down, that means that our positioning needs to change a little bit. We have no shield to hide behind, so that means that the bulk of the damage should be on our other two tanks now, which is going to be myself as the Zarya and our D.Va. Our Lucio should be just on permanent speed boost. Our Moira should be pumping out healing as much as possible, and the two remaining tanks should group up so that our Moira's healing is much more efficient. And if we're grouped up together with our Brig, that means that we'll be able to actually have a substantial amount of healing. But unfortunately, we kind of don't do that, and we get lucky because this Rhine fucks up. Okay. There's that Genji. At this point, I think people are starting to realize that the Genji's behind us. Gotta heal that Genji a little bit. Our Moira does the right thing and backs up a little bit further. What could help out a little bit better is if we call that Genji out. The Genji dives back into the fight, which is I think another bit of luck for us because I don't think he got a kill, and so therefore his dash is on cooldown. And dashing into that kind of a fight is maybe not the best move. Genji gets lucky. Yeah, little miscommunication here. I think what should have happened is we should have reassessed if we have numbers and then gone aggressive. In which case, I still didn't know I mean, that's kind of on me. But I pushed forward. I asked, why are we falling back? I think that's okay to ask. Our Brig says that there was a miscommunication. He might not have been wrong. He might have been completely right that we didn't have a number advantage. But what I do like is that I was not alone, and that our Lucio is with me with speed boost. Our D.Va is coming up from behind, probably with a matrix to help our escape, and our Moira is within healing range. I am about to fuck up here. Watch my positioning. This is bad. This is really bad. Look at me. Very, very bad positioning here. Our Ryan takes the safer route. I take the shitty route. I'm basically chasing this Genji. Now granted, this Genji was a lot lower. It's still not a good excuse. He's only slightly out of position, but the worst part about it is that my position is so bad. My back is towards the enemy spawn. It's such a stupid decision. I'm lucky to get out of this alive. Moira heals me up. I state that we get aggressive now, which I think was more than necessary. We had 6 people at this point. I don't think we lost anyone yet. And we needed to start picking targets because we were being very passive. This is kind of a scramble, right? Let's look at this real quick. Look at this, right? Here's what should have happened. What should have happened is that when I said we go aggressive, we use that speed boost and plow through and call a target. That target would probably be, I don't even know, a squishy. Probably not the Genji. Probably maybe the Zarya, if need be. If there was a Brig in there, it was hard to tell, honestly. It's such a sprawl. But look what's happening here. I think that's the Rhine. And their Ana's down. We look at our numbers. This is really good. Really, really good. Our Brig takes out the Ana. Our Reinhardt takes out the Brig. They are crippled at this point, and it should be a dead push. But what kind of happens next is a result of us sort of not pushing all as once, because these kills happened over here. If you see where this is here, where these two players are, way out there. So if we grouped up a little bit more, probably be a little bit easier. But instead, the Rhine just sort of shimmies right back up to us. Our Lucio is, I think that's our Lucio. Our Lucio is here, and looks like they're about to try and one-on-one. Oh no, our Lucio's dead. Our Lucio died. Could have been unlucky. Could have been a missed sound cue or a slow reaction. Could have been the Rhine was really good at his positioning. But no matter what, we lost our Lucio, which means that overall our speed is going to go down. Our Moira is ulting, which I think going forward should be saved for when we decide to go aggressive. Because that, if we all stick in a line and the Moira heals from behind and basically heals the whole tram, then that's great in healing a lot of people at the same time while also doing a lot of damage at the same time. But in this case, I don't know how much this Moira ult is going to help. Okay. In which case, the Shack gets healed nicely, but by the time it becomes relevant, right, we're in a danger zone. Our Rhine is once again killing it. Takes out the Zarya with a charge. But this is a lot of stuff going on here. We have a chance to recover pretty well here. The enemy team is doing really well considering their shitty numbers. This Rhine is being extremely aggressive, and his aggression is being rewarded in that he got himself a kill, and he's about to do this. He got a hammer down out of it. So now we've got, okay, so it was a Brig that was stuck out there. Our Brig, thankfully, decided to turn around and come back, which is great. Okay, Rhine is 1 health, but can't help the shatter. All right, my bubble was on cooldown. I was lucky enough to and thinking about it, I don't even know how this Rhine was able to shatter myself, who's here, and the Moira, who's here. I actually kind of want to see that again. I think this is kind of bullshit, to be honest. I think, yeah, I think that the Rhine got. Oh, I guess it's the forward momentum that the Moira had from her ult that pushed her forward behind the Rhine. Okay. Our Brig has an ult, which unfortunately gets cut short by the Rhine. Especially disappointing since the Rhine was truly low, and I was able to finish off the Rhine. And I was able to finish off the Reaper, leaving pretty much just this Genji. And I think it was just unfortunate by that time. I don't really know that there's anything I could have done differently. I think I just I needed to have a personal bubble, which I had on cooldown, or a healer. And unfortunately I had neither. that's it. I think he's being too hard on himself. Yep, healing orb's good. This Ana's way out of position. If that Ana gets called out, we might be able to converge on it. Our Rhine is soaking up a lot of damage, but he's getting a lot of value out of his swings by hitting multiple people. This is kind of a dead push. uh, yeah. Lost battle. I didn't really mean anything by that, by asking him, because he was the only one there, I think, besides. But there's nothing a diva can do about a dash attack. Huge. Huge. Okay. Zarya is correctly being called out, and our team, like champions, is following the target, taking her out for a nice little stagger. We're taking a look, we're scanning to see if there's anyone else that's finished off because we didn't get a team kill, and sometimes they'll push forward a little further than they can retreat from, and we can take advantage of that and add to the stagger. What I just mentioned is that a speed boost is helpful for making that happen. Okay. Okay. This is be a good place for the Moira ult. Ooh. Yeah, okay, that Moira ult is necessary here. I'm not pausing so much right now because this is such a scramble that it's kind of hard to say anything. Speed boost means that we can get there. This is pretty dangerous, but luckily a lot of us went out there to try and contest this. Their Rhine gets caught out of position because of that, which is huge. Huge stagger. Even if they kill us, we have spawn advantage. Speed back is a proper call. Speed back is a proper call. I have pushed out too far. I 100% deserve to die. We're speeding back. Perfect Lucio ult. This gives me plenty of time to be able to come back and rejoin the fight. Unfortunately, the main tank is down, and here comes every ult they've ever had. So, a little disappointing that all of those things sort of lined up that way, but I asked what happened exactly, and now I see what happened exactly. It's that we pushed pretty far. I fucked up and ruined it for everyone. And although we retracted back to the point, our Reinhardt didn't retract all the way with the rest of the team. I'm not sure what the circumstances were, but then that ended up being that he got picked out. I think everybody was just like a teensy bit frustrated, but it honestly was not that bad. I don't think. Skipping forward. I could, but I'm probably not the right person. I'm so involved with frontline that our Lucio, I think, doesn't have a ton of experience with goats, and that's okay. That's what this whole exercise was about. Okay, that was a good speed boost, but the Orisa did something important in which he used halt. Now, what's a little unfortunate is that I think we're kind of doing the right thing. Even though we got halted and we unfortunately lose the momentum of the speed boost, we're targeting the right target. this Junkrat could be laying down damage, in which case our Diva might need to pivot. I'm not sure if that happens, because the Orisa is not going to do a ton of damage to anybody. Not the kind of consistent damage that this Junkrat will. So I think what might be important, and this is not something I would expect the Diva to immediately recognize, but if there's a Junkrat, or Bastion, or Pharah, or anything that has a high, or Hanzo, a high amount of consistent damage, unfortunately, it could mean that the Diva might need to eat up some of that, especially if the target isn't going to deal a lot of damage with it, right? So the main tank targets are going to be typically like Rein or Orisa, in which case they're not going to shoot projectiles or do a lot of damage, in which case Diva's Matrix is not really going to help so much. So Diva's really important because of her Matrix, and that Matrix is going to be important for consuming high sources of damage like this one. So our Moira takes an adventurous position and positioning on the other side of the team. Our Lucio dies pretty quickly into the fight, which slows down our momentum, which means that it's much easier for flankers to take advantage of us because we don't have the speed to run away from them. So now these three people have this choice. So we have a Junkrat here, Hammond here, Genji here. Speed boost would probably help us escape these people. Make it harder for the Junkrat to hit us. Make the drop-off fall off a lot faster for Hammond's guns. And make the Genji might have to spend a dash to catch up. Fortunately, without that, we're in a shitty position. So, not much can be done here, except might have to turn around and fight, which is not ideal, but I think that's the way it would have gone. Yeah. I'm going to speed up to the next push. Genji's poking. Alright, we're about to try to do the same thing again. But not everyone's all together. Hammond's here. If we had a stun or something. We run out of heals, our Genji takes advantage of all the squishies. And then that's that. Same thing, their Hammond is just like trolling us. Okay. What we should not have done in this instance is rush towards a bongo. I don't think that was the right move. Especially considering the positioning that we've got going on. I'm in a shitty position, Briggs in a shitty position, and the main reason why is because our Reinhardt is behind us. And our Reinhardt is the one who's going to try to get us through. I'm not sure where this. I think our Lucio had a speed boost in mind, a path in mind before speed boosting, and that could just happen to have been the way, and the rest of the team thought that he was going another way. I'm not sure. Nevertheless, we're still getting the advantage of the aura, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was the first to get picked. Let's see. Junk Tire actually takes out 2. I get Genji dashed. So Lucio actually survived, but it just becomes a scramble. Good mechanics on the other team. Scrolling to next push. Push left is a good idea. But they have all their ults. Now what we could do is just try to live. But hard to do that with the Nano Genji. I wish I could tab and see where the Lucio ult is because I don't think I saw one yet. Or if there was one, I missed it. Oop, I think it was just revealed for a second there. 46%. So he must have used it earlier, and I just didn't see it. Correct move. Perfect pick. Perfect grab. Perfect rush. We should have gone left from the beginning. We're losing some frames here, but oh well. I asked the Lucio to come with them. Come with me. Look how many people go. And you know what? That's understandable, but well, our Moira is going to bring up a point pretty soon about like what could happen. It sounds a lot more dramatic than it is, but eh, that's the big thing. Still need you on the point. We should have known that they have a Hammond and they could contest. Now, I think that we had the right idea to chase the straggler, the Ana, because we don't know what her plan is. She might not be running all the way back to spawn. She might just be trying to reposition and waiting until her Hammond comes back or her higher mobility heroes. Because honestly, it is kind of worth it for the enemy team to contest with this composition. They have spawn advantage, and they know that we just used pretty much every ult in the book. So they made the right call. That being said, I say no more ults, please. I'm pretty sure we've used them all. We are in good position in that all of our team is alive and healthy. Except I don't know where Lucio is. Maybe coming from spawn. So maybe we lost our Lucio. This is an interesting choice. I don't think the Moira should have done this for exactly the thing that happened to him. In that we have the whole team is behind this Orisa shield, and Moira cannot heal through shields. So now this Moira, although I'm sure the intention would be for the team to push through the shield, etc., that means that we have situations in which case our Lucio is down to barely any health, and unless our Brig doesn't have that her heal on cooldown, then that Lucio has to run away or pick up this Mega. So now our Moira is asleep, which is kind of doom, especially considering the Zarya is right here, and especially considering uh, our phase shift or whatever is on cooldown. Our Moira lives. 73 health, but she doesn't. Actually, our Lucio is the first to go down, followed by the Brig. So our backline's mostly gone. A fight could still survive with a Moira as the only healer in this case, but it's not looking good. Our D.Va's out of mech. I'm running around like an idiot. I die. So our Moira did a good job surviving despite getting slept. That Hammond's doing exactly what he needs to do, which is basically troll us and slow us down. This is really important. This position here by the enemy team. Because we probably should charge them right here. This would be ideal. We got the speed boost, which is good. We've got all the pieces. We have an ulting Brig. The only thing that we would have needed to seal the deal is a Rhine in front. to charge in. That would have been rad. But he went to the other side, unfortunately. Our Lucio gets picked. And our Rhine is out of position because of the mines. The rest of the team huddles up and groups up. We don't, unfortunately, we don't have the burst damage to take down a Hammond. What would really do the trick is probably a break stun. It's bad luck on bad luck. I called out the Ana being out of position. I think she really was 1 health. But we do get the Ana eventually. We get the Orisa. We get the Zen. Now brilliant Lucio ult. Doesn't matter if it broke or not. The brilliant Lucio ult was huge. Here, we just straight up don't focus targets until there's one left. Here we get the Grav. Target callout was good. Target callout is good. And unfortunately, let's take a pause real quick to see what's going on here, right? We scramble. Junkrat takes out our Diva, which probably wouldn't have happened if we targeted the Junkrat together. Because it really, like, as a Junkrat, it's kind of difficult to take out a Diva. Between her Matrix, missiles, mobility, it's kind of hard. So she must have been in a real tricky position and him in an advantageous position for him to take her out. Unfortunately, that's what happens. We lose the defense matrix. And now I think this junk is nanoed. Maybe that's why that happened. Yeah, maybe that's why it happened. Yeah, I think so. In which case that's unlucky. Here comes the blade. Squishies are going to be his priority, and he succeeds in taking out 1 and 2. 3, in fact. So all the squishies are gone. It's just us tanks with no healer. And what should have been a full win, unfortunately, dwindles into nothing. I take out 1 or 2 of them, but doesn't matter so much. Our tanks try to make an exit. They do. That's huge. That's very important. Fortunately, I am out of luck. I am indeed. Okay. Moira positioning here is a little tricky. Shield and everything is back there, and when you know that there's a Genji and Junkrat near the front, being here is super dangerous. Moira doesn't need to do this because she has an ult already. No poking is really necessary. The enemy team is probably getting healed up. I would imagine the Lucio could maybe take advantage of this, standing far back enough away. Where he is right now is not so great, considering, like, you can see the spam. And speed boost is amazing, but sometimes you can't predict a randomly bouncing grenade. So, kind of dangerous, especially when the whole point of this was to wait for, unfortunately, me to show up, because I was staggered, and dangerous. So, I like this, actually. We got the speed boost to the point. Moira, unfortunately, isn't going to be able to take full advantage of the shield, but I feel like that might be fixed pretty soon. But we're all grouped together. I think I heard a Hammond ult to zone, but I'm not sure how that went down. Man, this is just bad luck. Huge splash from the Ana, and everyone was taken out 1 by 1. So, quite unfortunate, but it's good Genji. He knew exactly what to take advantage of. Junkrat was pumping out a lot of damage. Big takeaways from that is once again we have a bad habit of sticking together, um, of not sticking together rather, and poking when we don't need to. Um, Positioning, a lot of this stuff is mechanical. Just having a better instinct for when to matrix, when to poke, when to let shield down, etc. I think that it's, or like when to bubble, when to, my positioning was definitely not so good at the beginning. So it's just mechanics that just need to be practiced. But that's that.